One, two, three. Welcome to Texas Power Up. We have some guests joining us today from around Place Nation, but also Texas in general. So if you're not from Texas and you're on the call today, pop into chat where you're joining us from so we get a good idea. And you guys, those of you who see these people on, it's probably like 6:30 their time in some of these time zones. So they might be good referral partners for you. They obviously go the extra mile. Our Texas Power Ups, you guys, are focused on leveling up. And the first thing that I like to start with is to share how you guys are leveling up, right? The Texas Ben Kinney teams are leveling up. Here's the numbers for you. If you want to jot them down, here are your newest stats. So agents, we have 82 agents right now working hard to deliver the dream of home ownership in Texas, 82 agents. Those 82 agents are representing 285 buyers, 285 buyers that you guys are representing right now. You guys are representing 70 listings. So Ben Kinney team, high five, 70 listings for $27 million in listing volume. You have 235 pendings right now. 235 pendings right now. That is $93 million in volume, and that is a record. We're like so close to $100 million in pendings. Like I can feel it. You guys can feel it. It's so exciting. Closings, 190 closings year to date, 190. That is 2.3 homes per day. So if you're going on listing appointments, when you're talking to leads, like you are, like if you started yesterday or if you've been here 6 years, like you can use these numbers, 2.3 homes per day that you guys are closing, not just putting under contract, but closing. That is $66 million of volume that you guys are bringing in already for closings. And we're talking like 2.5 months, guys. This isn't like over like an entire year. Your average price point for closings is $347. The average price point for your pendings has gone up. It's $396, right? So like, that's really great. You guys are not just working, you're working smarter and getting higher price points, which means a little bit more money. There's 7 days left in Q1, and you guys are super focused and putting a ton of effort. Obviously, by yesterday's 1,000 dial day, a bunch of you guys, crazy people, I love it. That went really good. I've got an interview today for you guys, and like we always do, right? Like we're informal, but we're honest. And the goal is just to walk away at the end of this call inspired with an action item, right? Ben always says, I don't want to impress you. I want to impress upon you, right? Like, so this interviews are not to impress anybody. They're to impress upon you that you also can do whatever you put your mind to. And that's important for me. So to give you background, if you want to write down these stats, Jonathan Hand, who we're interviewing today, he joined us May 2020, right when the pandemic was in full swing. He just hit 100,000 net income. What does net mean? Net means after splits, that's what went into your bank account. And that's important, right? Like Ben said on our call last week, he said, you can't deposit percentages, right? You just deposit checks. So percentages, like, I mean, I like Sarissa and Jordan and Laura and I, we work like for like the smallest percentages of anybody on the team, right? Like our like percentages are the profit margins, and that's even split, right? You can't deposit percentages, you deposit the checks. And I'm really excited that we had 100,000 in 10 months. That's why I wanted to interview this guy. For those of you who share notes, who take notes, he closed 4 listings and 12 buyers to get there. 4 listings, 12 buyers. Here's how it worked out. One was a Brevity lead. One was a team lead from me. One was a past client referral. 2 were Sphere leads. 2 were for sale by owners. 9 were open houses. That's what it took to get to 16 closings. Brevity lead, team lead, past client referral, Sphere lead, for sale by owner, open house. He also has 6 pending right now from Brevity, from expireds, from Sphere, and from team leads, right? So that's a whole lot of business pie. So let's just find out how those last 10 months went. I'm gonna spotlight you, Jonathan, so that we can all, because most people don't even know who you are, but I think they're about to, which is kind of cool. So the goal, everybody, is just to take one thing away from this. If you take one thing away, that's all that I'm asking for. Before we get started, Jonathan, how did your 1,000 dial day go yesterday?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Went great. I didn't think I was going to finish. Started off really rough. As we all know, Mojo was giving us a hard time yesterday. So I was probably about an hour and a half behind, just waiting on it to load up. But I ended up getting, 23 nurtures and 4 that I would categorize as hot. So I was simply circle prospecting a neighborhood or an area that I have helped a lot of buyers look at. And I know it's super, super competitive. And I know in order to win, you kind of have to be anywhere from 70 to 150,000 over asking. And those are the listings I would like to take. So that's where I focused.
What did you tell them? What did you say to them?
Yeah, I mean, my script was super simple every single time, but I'd be like, "Hey, ring, ring. Good morning. Is this Bob?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, it's Bob. Hey, Bob, I'm just calling. My name's Jonathan Hand. I'm with Keller Williams here in the Pflugerville, Texas area. I don't want to take a lot of your time. I know you're super busy, but I have my team has several buyers that are looking to purchase homes in your neighborhood. And we pulled a list, and your house matches the exact criteria what these buyers are looking for. Any chance that you think about selling if you got the right amount of money?"
Okay, I like it. I like it. I would totally converse with you. That felt really natural, really good. Okay, I like it. Well, sweet. I hope if you were looking for inspiration for how to do a 1,000 dial day, that's an amazing one, right? Because it's not all your buyers, it could be the team buyers. Doesn't matter. I love how you set that up.
Adeline, I'd say that the main objection that I got all day long was folks that say they don't know where to go, right? Like that's the thing. Like, well, okay, fine, I can sell my house for 100,000 more than I'd list it for. Great, but where am I going to go? And I think our team has a huge value prop with regards to not just negotiating lease backs for folks, but also the different programs that we have where they can actually go buy their home first and then sell second, or the legal language that we can put into the contract if they don't find something that fits. Let's terminate the contract, right? Like there's a lot of options.
There's
So
a
you just
lot of options.
get their mind working.
I love that. I love that. I read yesterday, Jonathan, the day that you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit, right? So we were planting lots of seeds yesterday, and I know a lot of people in Texas were planting seeds yesterday, and we're gonna have ourselves a feast here later this year, which I'm really excited about. Okay, so it's 10 minutes past the hour, and I want to get started. Let's jump right in. Tell us about your life before real estate. I know it existed, doesn't feel like it some days,
Yeah.
but your life before real estate. What's your story? Walk us through that.
Sure, it's nothing special, but I grew up Central Illinois near St. Louis. Went to college up in Chicago at Concordia University, small school. Played football my first 2 years of college. I was an outside linebacker. Blew out both of my shoulders, so I had to get some surgeries done. Hung up the pads, and then decided to kind of pivot from there. I was going to be a teacher. After kind of getting introduced to the medical and sports medicine, wanted to be a doctor. So I actually graduated college pre-med, and then I started working as an EMT in Chicago for a year on the south side of Chicago. So that was very interesting. Learned a lot. Learned that I didn't want to be an EMT for the rest of my life. And from there, I was basically ready to start getting ready for med school. So I was applying, took the MCATs several times. It was definitely a challenge, and did okay, but I was going to have to move out of state to go to med school, and it just wasn't something. My wife and I were already married at that point, so that wasn't something we wanted to do. So I started working kind of the family business in the grocery operations as like a manager and director of operations. It was a Hispanic grocery store chain, so learned Spanish. So I was immersed into a very different culture, and it was great. I loved it. Kind of got into business at that point, so I started working on my MBA. So I was working probably 60 to 80 hours a week in grocery store, 1 day off, working on the weekends, and taking night classes 2 nights a week. And then about 2 years later, decided to transition into more of a corporate role. So I went to work for the railroad in Chicago in the headquarters, and got a lot of awesome corporate experience. Learned exactly what I wanted to learn, talking with people all the way from the operations floor all the way up to executives and the railroads, and just really learned a lot.
So I hear a lot of pivots in there, right? Like, you guys, it's totally, what I want you to hear is it's totally normal to have a plan and then have to adjust your plan for your reality, for your new reality, right? Like, it doesn't mean your goal changes, right? It just means that you have to go about it slightly differently, right? Like, if you were going to be a PE teacher and all of a sudden that wasn't going to be the path anymore, it doesn't mean your life is over. It means you got to just go a different route to get to where you want to go. Anything else that you would share on that?
Yeah, I think that's spot on. And I got it bold in my notes. Like I had to learn how to adapt and pivot. Things don't come naturally to me. I have to work really hard at them. So I have to put in the time. It took me 3.5 years to get my MBA. So that was no easy feat, but I knew I wanted to do it and I knew I needed the skills. So I did what it took. And then I think the thing that I wanted to kind of sum up, like after working on the railroad, it was great. But I also went through a phase in the railroad where it was called precision scheduled railroading. And the whole railroad industry was changing at that point. And a lot of folks were losing their jobs because it was all about the shareholders' money, right? And how much money they can make. And so I worked with a lot of folks that had been there for 10, 15, 20 years. And then they walked in and they had no job anymore. And I was never at risk of that. But I saw a lot of folks that went through that and I was like, it changed my mind where I was like, I kind of want to work for myself and have the control of my own future, not just work for somebody else and kind of worrying about every day.
Yeah, that's one of the things we talked about in our prep call with Jonathan was, man, imagine having started in real estate, right after college. Like imagine, like the opportunity that some of our 20 and young 30-year-olds have. And then also everyone who's not that, like, they have all this experience, like somebody like you who comes in with like experience from the outside world, right? There's no way to lose in real estate is what I'm getting at, right? Like it's a great opportunity if this is all you've ever done. And it's also a great opportunity if you've done a ton of things before this.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you can apply all of your skills and just really, especially if you're a younger person or anybody and joining the team, I think we have such an advantage over other agents just with regards to the team model and coaching. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I drove Mr. Casey crazy asking him all types of questions, but he was always there. And that's a huge value proposition for anyone that's looking to get started and to start a business.
Right on. When did you move to Texas? How did that all work out?
So we decided we were moving to Texas and that was just kind of it. And we knew we wanted to go to Austin. And so my wife had a job lined up, but I was still interviewing at a whole bunch of corporate jobs and nothing was landing and I didn't have enough tech experience. So got connected. So my vice president that I work for at the railroad said, "Hey, John, you'd be really good at real estate." And I go, "Real estate?" I was like, I've thought about it, but it just didn't click in my mind. And so my manager actually was really good friends with Mr. Bob Bakis, who's I believe on the call, and got connected with Bob, and it kind of went from there. Bob connected me with Adelina, and ended up in Austin, and took 5 weeks to get through the real estate classes. I got super lucky on my test date, and there we are. So May 18th is when I started.
I love that. So think about in your world, guys, like who do you need to say you'd be really good at real estate? Because I bet you there are friends of yours who would like have really a great experience, in real estate like Jonathan has. Okay, let's get started with, you started in the middle of COVID. Walk us back. It was May 18th, 2020, for those of you guys who are keeping track. We all remember that time. I particularly remember it because it was it felt like the sky was falling. I mean, I can look back on it now and it was our best year yet. And yet it was traumatic. It was hard, right? You were working from home. I don't think I even met you until probably like the 4th of July kind of shindig that I had in my backyard. So it was a few months that nobody even met you. Nobody really knew who you were. No one knew what the market was going to do. And for many people, it was a horrible time to make a career change. So what was your mindset? How'd you get started? Walk us through anything you want to talk about there.
Sure. Yeah, I got started. I mean, I moved here. We literally knew no one other than you. And so I knew I had to start from scratch. And so I leaned into my sphere, which was part of my first 90 days, called everybody, let everybody know I was in real estate. But I wasn't hopeful that much was going to come from that, especially any kind of short-term income. And so I basically I'm not fully comfortable on the phones, especially then. So I knew I had to do something else. So I was doing between 3 and 5 open houses a week, pretty much consistently 4 and 5, and Saturdays, Sundays, Fridays, everything, right? And just there was plenty of times where I had open houses that no one came. I was not the superstar at picking open houses, but there were ones that I landed that were great. And so it kind of gave me a taste of, okay, if I can get in front of people and build them as nurtures and just be natural with them and have good conversations, this is going to work. So with time, just learned how to identify better open houses and ones that are going to kind of enhance my odds, and just kind of went from there.
Okay, so I'm going to stay on the open house topic for a minute here, because open houses are they are a lead gen lever for us, whether you're experienced or you're Ben Kinney team or somewhere in the middle. So you said you probably did 3 to 5 open houses pretty consistently to build your business. And anybody hearing that today, they would be like, gosh, there's no way to do that in this market. What would you say to that right now?
I would say that when we used to have to do 4 or 5 open houses a weekend to get, 5 nurtures, now you can do 1 or 2 open houses and get 20 nurtures, right? So I used to probably I would estimate 5 to 6 hours a week spread out between like Wednesday and Thursday and sometimes Friday, trying to line up open houses. So if you were able to spend that same time now and just get 1 or 2 open houses, I think that'd be a huge game changer in your business.
Okay, I love that you said that, because one of the things that I hear often from our agents is, I can't find open houses. And if I push back and I ask them, well, how long did you spend looking for one? It's 30 minutes, it's an hour, it's an hour and a half. It's not 4, 5, or 6 hours. So you're telling me you had to spend time to find open houses. It wasn't like they landed in your lap and people were like, oh, Jonathan, you are just awesome. Gosh, you've got an MBA. Yes, please do my open house. So people didn't say that to you, right? I just want to be clear.
No, absolutely not.
They didn't know you.
They didn't know me. And the way I kind of tried to set myself apart was, after the open house, I would live up to what I told them. I'd give them feedback. I'd tell them how many people they had come through. If any buyers agents came through, I'd give them their information so they could connect, like trying to go above and beyond, right? Like really setting ourselves apart from the rest of the agents out there.
Okay, awesome. So my takeaway, guys, if you're tuning in, is each market presents opportunities and obstacles, right? Last year you had to do 4 to 5 open houses. Sometimes you would do an open house, put your signs out, do all the things, and have 0 people come, right? Like that was our reality. And now you just have to spend a lot of time finding 1 open house or 2 open houses per weekend. What was your focus during these open houses? I look back and I see that you did 9, you got 9 closings out of it, which with many more to come. What was your focus? How did you convert so well? That's what everybody wants to know. How did you convert so well? Like, what did that look like?
I would just say I was just authentic. For several of my clients that I've closed, of those 9, talking back afterwards, like, John, you weren't pushy. But we have to be able to offer a wealth of knowledge, right? Like, we are here on the Ben Kinney team. We're well versed in the market. We understand what's going on. We have resources to learn and to know. And so just being able to just speak on that, like when you're in front of people, and basically kind of try to give them some ease of mind that, like, listen, we are professionals. We're here to help. And it's weird to say, like, you have to push for the appointment. You have to push for the next time that we're going to meet and get in front of those folks. But in a non-pushy way.
So then what does it sound like? Like, okay, if I'm like somebody that so I know what I hear is you're making a sincere connection with these people. It's an authentic conversation, right? So what are you saying to them? Like, what's a good script? What can somebody take away from it?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so after basically gone through the whole LP Mama, have a good idea where people are looking, what they're looking for, whether or not they're pre-qualified, right? That's a big question, right? Like, if we find out that they have already talked to a lender, great, let's go look. If they haven't, it's great to explain like why they should, and then offer like our resources, BK Co Mortgage. Like that really catches people's attention, right? With being able to save anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000 in closing costs. So that was a great way to say, hey, let me just connect you with Jonathan Miller over at BK Co Mortgage. No pressure, and you can get multiple pre-approvals, but just let's start the conversation there. Now, if they already were pre-approved, then basically I would say, hey, you know what? It sounds like you're serious. You're in a good position to go look for homes. Let's set up a couple houses, maybe 4 or 5 houses. I'm totally okay with to coordinating all that. Let's just go see what you like and what you don't like. It'll give me a good feel of both how we're going to work together, and then also it'll give me a good feel of like what you're looking for, so that we can kind of proceed from there. And then, hey, how's that sound? And pretty much 9 times out of 10, yeah, let's go take a look.
Okay, so you're just assuming they're going to want to look with you, and you're just very naturally saying, let's go look at some houses. Let's see how we'd work together,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. I can get behind that. I can really get behind that.
And there's plenty of people that didn't want to, right? Like it's not like every person I asked that to, like, oh yeah, let's go meet on Monday. No. There's plenty of people that I followed up and there were no shows, but you have to, it's all volume. It's all an odds game. You have to put yourself in front of as many people as possible and
Okay, so you didn't get down, like, okay, so let's say you called me and I was like, no, I'm good. I really, or I don't even answer the phone. Like how do you keep your mindset positive during that?
Because there's more fish in the sea. You just got to keep rolling.
Okay. All right. Simple as that. All right. I'll take it. And then I was going to ask you one more question on this. How many would you say, you had 9 closings from open houses during a time that people were scared actually to even go to open houses? So let's be clear on that. How many of those do you feel like you set during the appointment? You were like, during the open house, like, so you set the appointment, versus how much of it was just actually follow up?
I would say of the 9, half of them were I essentially set the appointment to go and meet up later that week to go look at some options. And then half of them were I needed to nurture them a little bit further, get them on some listing alerts, send them some information, talk about the appreciation of different zip codes, all that good stuff. So our normal follow-up after a new lead is added.
Okay, great. Awesome. Got it. I love that. Let me see where else I want to go with this. What about, like, so I know you didn't have a sphere, and yet I know you and I know your business now. You have a sphere that you built here in Austin. What did that look like?
Sure. Yeah. So when my wife Lupita and I moved here, we thought about buying, but we had no idea. We just were not sure where we wanted to go. So like, well, the safest thing to do is to rent. We'd never rented before, but like, hey, let's rent. Let's live right on Lady Bird Lake. It was great. And the apartment complex that we were at, it was a big apartment complex, but I got to know a lot of people. And just, going to the dog park, hanging out, even during COVID with our mask on, blah, blah, blah. And just met a lot of people and would slowly start to say, hey, I'm a real estate agent. And, it's kind of goofy when you're renting to say, oh yeah, let me help you go buy a house. So
what do you say?
Yeah, I was like, hey, listen, we're renting now, $2,200 a month in rent really hurts, right? But my goal is I'm planning to buy a house. And so as soon as you say that and like, here's why, talking about how the difference in interest rates from at the time 2.75 versus 4.75 is, $200,000 towards a mortgage. It kind of opens people up to saying, oh, wow, okay, that's a lot of money, right? And so that just kind of little by little, and I built some really good relationships, and I have a couple individuals that are still sending me potential buyers now. So probably once or twice a week, I get somebody that said, hey, I want to introduce you to this person.
Okay, I wanted everybody to hear that because we have a lot of agents who don't own a home yet. Like, we know you want to own a home, you don't own a home yet, and it's very easy to have that, what we call imposter syndrome, right? You feel like here you are selling homes and you're kind of having to fake it a little bit when you're a renter yourself. And I like that script. I'm renting too, but I'm on the path to owning a home, and you should think about that too. Here's what it looks like. Here's what's in it for you. Because what do people care about? What's in it for them? Right on. I like that. So then tell us, I know you started out with for sale by owners and expireds. Like, tell us a little story about all of that. What did that look like? Because I know that was part of your business.
Yeah, it sure was. So yeah, so we all laugh at this. So yeah, I came out of the gates and was like following the model. Knew I wanted to get listings, right? Listings leads to leads, and leads lead to leverage. So I knew I wanted to find as many listings as possible. So I was following the model by calling for sale by owners and expireds and going onto Zillow. Actually, both of my for sale by owners came directly from Zillow by calling them up. And the running joke is that I guess I vibe well with engineers. I'm fairly detail oriented. So I found several clients that are very detail oriented as well and wanted to be very involved in the listing process. And yeah, so got them closed. But I will say, while they weren't easy, I learned a lot, right? I learned all about HOAs. I learned all about estate sales. I learned all about, so you can't be scared. And because we have a team, like it wasn't just me, it was Adelina, it was Casey, it was Sharon, like all working through it together. Right. So I think that's a huge value proposition for any of us new agents, is that you're not going at it alone. And nobody's just going to let you out there to dry. Right. So yeah, so that was a great experience with those listings.
Yeah. So even as a new agent, right? Like for sale by owners expireds can definitely be scary. You have a team behind you at all times, right? I know you've got a little PTSD over some of those sellers. Engineers are difficult. We all know. They are attorneys and engineers. They make the best clients, don't they? But you did learn a lot because you were listing heavy at the beginning. So kind of how do you think about it now, right? Because you've worked with sellers, you've worked with buyers. Like, what's your mindset around it all now that you know both worlds very well?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I want to say no very well, but I have a good bird's eye view right now. Yeah, so I started out listing heavy, and then kind of got some PTSD, and basically pivoted totally going towards buyers. So I have like one listing getting ready to close, but I have nothing else coming up. And so I have 6 buyer pendings, but I realized that yes, I can close buyers, but it's exhausting, right? Especially in this market. If the market changes, then it's a different story. But right now, I have multiple buyers that unless they can come up with another $30,000 or $40,000 to be able to cover appraisal differences, we're going to be running around all day long. And that's not to say that we can't find them off markets, which is the goal. But basically, I got to a point now where it's like I really understand the importance of finding listings and allowing those listings to bring us buyers down the road, but doing the hard work up front, setting the listing appointment, and then just letting it kind of roll from there.
What do you think is going to be the secret to you being able to pivot to get more listings into your pipeline?
Just being consistent. And at lead gen, I've always struggled with my morning blocks. I always get, well, when working with buyers, it's really easy to get sidetracked in the mornings, because they want to know information on this, and they want they want to know what this house is going to appraise at, or what we think it's going to appraise at, and what they would have to do. So you spend a lot of time digging into the numbers in the morning so that you can set up your afternoon appointments, which is time that we should be prospecting for sellers.
Right on. So going back to the beginning, what did your day look like for the first, 6 months or so of your business?
Yeah, I was consistent in the morning. I was not the high number caller for sure, but I would, consistently hit my 50 to 75 contacts, which props to everybody that's doing way more than that. But yeah, morning when I was focusing on listings, it was sticking to my blocks, calling through expireds and for sale by owners. And then now going forward is I'm really starting to see the value of circle prospecting, right? Because when we're circle prospecting, we're not calling the same person that's been beat up 100 times by 50 other agents. We're talking to people that have probably maybe never been called by an agent before, or maybe once or twice. And we have a huge value prop to be able to win their business and to show them how we can help them.
And then I think about, I kind of think about your business being first half and second half, right? The first half is like you're brand new and you're just like, you're doing everything Casey's saying, you're doing it right. And then what happens is you guys, we get clients, and then those clients throw us all off, right? And then we have the second part of your business where, life happened and clients happened. It definitely felt different, I assume, right? So what would be your feedback going through that to manage and also build a high level of service? Manage your business, build a high level of service, and not drop the ball on the thing that is most important, which is that time block in the morning. What's your
Yeah.
feedback?
Yeah, Casey and I have talked about this a lot. The importance of setting your boundaries for your clients, right? Like they'll respect you for it. When you say, listen, I have morning appointments and your appointment is your time block to prospect, like they will respect that. And when you say, listen, I will get to you at 12:30 as soon as I finish up my morning meetings and I'll be all ears from there, does work well. And I've seen it work well recently. So I would just say, as an agent who's struggling probably with the same thing that I am with regards to just all over the place, like having those conversations, like, listen, you are my priority, and I will take care of you, but just give me a little bit of time to finish up this other matter first, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, they don't need to know that your other matter is you building your business. Like like it's not their business, right?
Correct.
I think we kind of get wrapped up in that. Like it's kind of like selfish for us to build our business, right? Like, I mean, I feel like a lot of people say that. I had a question from Daniel Weiser earlier. What's your why that got you here? Why are you even doing this? Like, what does this mean to you?
Obviously, want to provide for my family, right? And build a future and live an experiential life and travel and all that good stuff, right? So obviously you need money to do that. I've always been a big like passion person, like doing something for a reason. Like what's the reason for doing something? And I think that's why. I think that's I want to feel good about doing something that I'm helping other folks. And I think that's real estate really, I didn't realize it until I got into it, but we can make a huge impact on folks' lives by just helping them. I mean, there's a lot of people have no idea where to start. They have no idea like the value of the property that they own and what that could mean for their family. And so that's I'd say that's my big why, like being able to use the skills and abilities that we've all learned throughout our past and other careers, and then apply them going forward is my why.
Got it. How many, this is not, oh gosh, not even sure how that happened. Tell me, Jonathan, how many hours do you feel like you actually work? Like, I really am, like, all of us are interested, so tell it to us straight.
Probably more than I should. I would say
Well, yeah, clearly, because you're buyer focused right now.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say I'm probably 70 to 80 hours a week right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take white space, but it's hard for me to take a full day off at this point. Because I'm working with buyers, right? So I'm consistent with prospecting during the week and handling business and working with title companies and all that stuff. And then weekends are pretty much all showings, or they would have been open houses prior to that.
Okay, got it. I just want everybody to kind of understand, because I often coach with agents and they're putting in probably 30 35 hours a week, and it's really hard. You guys, the reason I bring this up is it's kind of like a plane, right? Like a plane, to get off the ground has to have a runway, right? And it's speeding up and it's speeding up and it's going down the runway, and then it takes off, right? Like to be able to like start, like what you're doing is you're starting a new business, right? And there is time. Like if you would put 40 hours into a regular job, 9 to 5, that has a cap on your salary, like why wouldn't you do at least that for your own self? Like that's really, I'm really passionate about that. Thank you for sharing that. And I bet you would take probably 20 hours off if you worked with more sellers. So anyway, that's beyond the point. Okay, let's talk about a couple questions that came up. What did your prep work look like for open houses? Anything that you remember from doing a ton of open houses? Any prep work at all that you did that you can share?
I put out a ton of signs. Everybody always knew that if they needed signs, they could come to me because I probably had a good portion of them. So I'd probably put out 15 to 20 directional signs, had an open house banner. There was a point during COVID where I had I'd bring a tray with some little bottles of water and some little some snack size candies to kind of make it homey. Just anything you could do. I mean, nothing special, right? No, I mean,
Okay, well, walk me through, what about like, did you, when you were doing 4 to 5 open houses, that's a lot of open houses to keep, track of and straight, like how much prep work did you do to get to know that neighborhood before you did those open houses, or you didn't?
There were times I would, I would say only a couple times where I actually door knocked ahead of the open house, which actually ended up being fruitful, just inviting folks or neighbors to come over, and actually got a couple nurtures from that. So looking back, I probably would have been even more successful if I would have maybe gone down to maybe 3 open houses a weekend and spent more time circle prospecting, and door knocking, all the different, lead generation ways that we have, right?
Got it. Did you ever get the objection, how about your experience? How long have you been doing this? Or anything like that? Did that ever come up?
Yeah, I did.
How'd you handle it? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of my clients, they were, they were retired, very successful in oil and gas. And I knew that it wasn't their first rodeo. And I was, an agent with 5 months of experience. And, he was asking me, so, what's your track record? And I was straightforward with him saying, I'm just getting started, and, I've closed some deals, but I'm learning a lot. But I remember being in the kitchen of an open house and just explaining to him the value proposition that we have as a team, and understanding that, when we are making offers on houses for him and his wife, that it's not just me crunching the numbers, it's my sales manager, it's my team leader. Like, in any questions that you have, and if I can't answer them, I'll get a straightforward answer for you. So that's what I would say to new agents is, you can be straightforward with folks. People are going to, I think, respect it, that you're out there doing whatever you can to be successful, and they'll value that.
I like that. I'm getting a lot of private DMs right now. How many hours do you hope to work in the future? Like, if you were looking at the second part of this year and next year, what's your ideal, what does that look like?
Probably 50.
Okay.
I mean, I'm never been afraid of work.
Okay. And then tell me, what's your focus for the rest of the year? As we're wrapping this up, what's your focus for the rest of the year, and where's your mindset with all of that?
My goal would be to at least do 36 transactions. That would be my goal this year. And I think I can definitely hit it. Obviously getting there by focusing more on listings, focusing on dual-sided transactions, right? Helping those people sell and also buy. So you're basically getting 2 in 1. And then really right now I work for my database. I work for Brivity. Brivity is not working for me. I am terrible at my task. I don't even honestly use them. So I know that if I want to get to a position where next year I can hopefully bring in some help, I need to be able to have a point where I can hand over my database to somebody else and say, hey, here's where we're at and here's what I need you to do. Because right now I can't, because I don't even know what I'm doing in there. So that's a huge focus for me going forward, is just getting organized, getting structured, making sure that nothing's falling through the cracks.
Okay, so I heard you say gonna really jump into Brivity and make it work for you, right?
Mhm.
And then what are you gonna do to get more listings? We talked about that, and what do you want to? What's your strategy for that?
Yeah, circle prospecting. I think we're starting to see expires kind of dwindle, right? Especially in our market here in Austin, but they will be there. For sale by owners, I think is a great leverage for a lot of us, because there are people that think that because the market's so hot, they can literally throw a sign in their yard and sell their house. And we have great scripts for that, right? Like we know that they won't. We know that they'll sell for substantially less than what we can help them sell for, and still net more money even after our fees are paid. So I think that's a huge area that we can focus on.
Do you say it just like that? Are you that honest with them when you talk to a for sale by owner? Like, hey, I know you can sell it yourself. I'm not saying you can't sell it yourself, What I'm saying is, if you had our team, you'd be able to net more money even after fees are paid.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it's there. I don't want to generalize everybody, but good amount of for sale by owners, the reason they're doing it is to make the most amount of money possible. Right. So if we can show them through net sheets and through the numbers, how the 6% commission that they're going to pay, or sometimes it's only 3% more because they just don't want to pay for somebody to list their house. That can net them another 4 to who knows 8% on top of that, then it definitely opens their eyes.
Okay, got it. And then, so we're going to be focusing on Brivity and the database that we've already built. We're going to be focusing on adding more sellers to our database, and hitting 36 units a year, which will net you 225 this year. And then starting the conversation about the leverage model within the Bank Kinney team in place to bring on help next year. Is that kind of your plan?
Absolutely. That's it.
Okay. Well, what I love about that, it doesn't take years. It took me years to get to a point like it took you in the last 10 months. And I appreciate you just leaning into all of it. So anything that you'd want to share with us at the end?
No, guys, you just got to be ready to pivot, right? The market's going to change. The circumstances are going to change. Interest rates are going to go up. They're going to go down, whatever it might be. We just have to be able to pivot and just pick a path, stick to it. And then once that path is no longer fruitful, then you change again, right? Sticking with our values, but using the team, right? Using the team to figure out the best way forward. So, and not being afraid to put in the work. Real estate is not something that you can work a 9 to 5. So if you think that, then you probably need to get out.
Right on. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Jonathan, for sharing your journey with us. And thank you, Texas, for always spending the morning with us Thursday mornings. Next week, you guys, is April 1st, otherwise known as April Fool's Day, but we are not going to be fooling around. We do have a special guest. I'm not going to tell you who, but you want to be here for it. We're going to kick off the second quarter in style, so you won't want to miss it. And we appreciate you guys, and I can't wait to share what is it going to be. We're going to hit like 200 closings by then, so I can't wait to celebrate that with you guys. And we're going to get to 100 listings as well. Like it's a matter of time, and we're already taking so much market share. And there's never been a better time to be in real estate, you guys. Like, look at Jonathan 10 months ago, right? Like there's so much that can happen in 10 months, right? Don't underestimate how much you can achieve in a short time when you put your mind to it. Thanks to Jonathan for showing us that. Thanks everybody for spending the morning with us, with Sarissa and Jordan and Laura and I and everybody. And we will see you again next week, guys. Bye.
Be powered.
Oh, power up. All right, Sarissa, lead us.
What? Unmute. 1, 2, 3.
All right.